Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Yeah, no heat on again, but I'll tough it out for you guys. No worries there. Today's video is a little follow-up on the Pioneer ignition situation. I don't know how long this video is going to be, but I started digging further into my parts stash and I found out that there's yet another cylinder and ignition combination that I didn't know existed. And anyways, I just wanted to put this up there. I know a lot of you guys are working on Pioneers. They're awesome saws. They're a lot of fun. And just help for you guys and to show you guys all the different variations so you kind of know what works and what doesn't. I did this with 200 series Husqvarnas years ago, and I'll do it with Pioneers now. Anyhow, I'll set you guys up and let's get to the bench. And well, I found another combination that I didn't know existed. Oh, and a little update on the auction. We went to the auction. I went to the auction and I noticed they had 20 sets or so of these, offshore pallet forks, brand new. And I bid on this set and I actually won them. So I'm really excited. I do not have pallet forks. There's a set I can borrow in the next town, but this is something I've always wanted to have. It'll just help with my wood game and just lifting heavy things around the farm here. And I've wanted a set of these, just really hard to justify the price. And every year the price of these darn things just keeps getting higher. So I bought these at with taxes and everything in 1/3 of retail. So, and these are brand new. They're 4,000 pounds, so they're the heavy duty ones. And the best part is, the guy asked me when we were loading up, he's like, hey, do you want the extra long forks? And I said to him, I said, I got a spare set of forks that are short at home. I'll take a pair of long forks. So now I have long forks and short forks for this. Anyways, friends, I'm really excited. As I get older, it's getting harder and harder to lift the heavy things around here. Now I don't have to. Anyhow, back to the video. Okay, guys, we're here at the bench. I noticed, I've been sticking through my parts, and I found another cylinder with a different coil mount, and wow, like there's a lot of variations of these. Before that, I want to touch on, there's a comment posted on the channel probably a week ago as you guys see this. I was going to screenshot it, but I couldn't find it. I don't know if the fellow took it down or what the deal is, but I thought, I'll touch on this one. And I've had this comment many times before, and it's kind of funny to me, but the fella said, hey, Tin Man, love what you do, been watching you for years. And he said, there's a couple of porters local to me that I've dealt with, and they both say that if you're not doing machine work, you're not porting. It's not a ported saw. You have to do machine work. And I thought, I'll touch on that one. So first thing, in this whole saw gig, whatever you want to call it, there's always fellas looking to shoot other fellas down. And I think that's hobbies and men in general. You guys know me. I don't do that stuff. I don't know any of these other guys. I don't run their saws. I've never run their saws. And there's different ways to do work to a saw. It's like, how many different ways is there to build a 350 small block? A bazillion. Or a Harley engine or whatever. There's two styles of porting. One is machine work and one is just straight up porting. Now, the long and the short of it, and I won't go too far into this, I feel like this fellow was asking a genuine question. There is two styles of porting, and one is to jack the compression up, and the other is to do like I do. I prefer a regular compression saw because, well, as you can see here, it's cold here. You can't start a high compression saw in the winter here. It's impossible. So I port the way I port because that's the kind of saw I like. The porting I do moves everything to the top. Okay, you get lots of power at the top. And in my opinion, because how I run a saw is I run a saw to the pickle. I pin her and she goes. I'm not concerned on low and mid-range power. Now, some fellas, they like low and mid-range power, and they like machine work. And I'm okay with that, but there's two ways to port. I would never say, if another fellow builds a saw and it's fast, I don't care what he done to it. If it's fast, I'll say, hey, that's a good saw. I don't much care about arguing the different styles and what we do here because it's silly. I ain't got time for that. So anyways, to the fellow that posed that question, I'm pretty sure I'm porting saws here. If I'm not, I've wasted 5 years of my life posting videos on YouTube. But anyhow, I don't shoot other guys down, and I would never say, hey, just because that guy did something different than me doesn't mean means he's not a real builder. That would just be silly talk. Anyways, I build for me, and if you guys like what I do, maybe give me a thumbs up and subscribe. I never say that, but I'll say it here, and let's just keep doing what we're doing. I keep things accessible for all you guys out there on this channel. You know, if I was running a business and I had fancy equipment, I might say, hey, you need this equipment to build a good saw. But I'm not in business. I don't take work. I just port saws for me and a couple of buddies. So you could do what I do, and don't let the lack of a lathe be a barrier to building fast saws, because that's rubbish, in my opinion. And again, everybody has an opinion, and you know what they say about opinions, folks. Moving on. Okay, I'm going to bring you guys in, recap the ignition issue with the partner P42, and again, thank you guys. So many of you guys reached out. You're like, hey, I have a part saw, I have ignition parts, I got P41 parts. What do you need, Tin Man? Friends, if I need something, I'll ask. I'm not too proud to ask. And, we got ice in our beard here. You guys ever get snotsicles in your beard? It's something. But anyways, friends, thank you to everybody that offered. I've been collecting Pioneer parts for 5 years, so I think I'm set. If I need help, friends, I'll ask you guys. But check this out. There's another variation of cylinder and ignition. I'll show you guys. I'll set you guys up and show you guys. We're set up at the bench. Here's the P42. I got the flywheel on it. Just a quick recap. We started off with this cylinder. This was the cylinder that was on this saw. I ported it, did a boost port. I ended up blowing a hole in the cylinder, and before, I've just gotten tons of comments. I can't fix this cylinder. I talked to my buddy Nick there, and he's like, I could weld that, but the problem is, friends, when I did that, I also made it too wide, and the rings will catch. Okay, so this cylinder is good for garbaggio. I won't use it. It's just, it is what it is. I have a whole bin of destroyed cylinders. Some I've done, some came off saws, but that's the game we're playing. Okay, this is the coil and ignition. Okay, this is the late model. So if you pull your saw apart and it has this is a late model coil and a late model ignition. It's a one-piece coil, okay? And again, no bridge in this cylinder. Okay, this one also has a decomp, a manual decomp. There's also saws, like that farm saw I was running with the pipe, with auto decomps. Okay, there's a lot of variations. So I took this cylinder and junked it. I grabbed a P41 cylinder that I've had for years that was off of a parts saw. And I went to mock this up. I often do mock-ups before I film. Before I put a saw together, I'll lay everything out and just make sure I got all my parts, you know, and bolts. Because when you're filming, you can't really mess around with looking for parts and stuff. At least I can't. And the thing you notice is the holes are here and here, okay? This hole would have to be back here for this to even consider mounting, and I'd have to make a plate. Now, a lot of you guys mentioned you could make a plate. I could. 100% I could make a plate. I got steel for days in this shop. But the problem is with that, I started measuring my magnets. I would have to cut almost this whole tab off, which means I'd only have about this much screw. Will I do that if I have to? For sure. But once I cut this off, I'm dedicated, and I got to cut it flat. I don't have a mill. If I had a mill, I could mill this down. But there's just not a lot of space in here. But I could. In a pinch, you guys could retrofit this. Then I noticed that there is room for this style ignition. Okay? This is an igniter, or I guess this is the coil, and there's an igniter. Okay, this is the old style. This is a P41. This cylinder came off of this saw. Okay, this is a nice saw. We could put it back together one day. Okay, but notice, okay, this has like a coil and igniter set up, like a 288 Husky. Okay, well, I noticed, well, there's spots here. 2 screw holes. There's a spot that I could put this on this saw. Okay, now my biggest issue is that P41 had no spark when I got it. The top end, the rings were worn out because these have super thin rings. Okay, and the rings are often worn out, and it had no spark. The reason why they updated to this ignition is the P41's 8 coils. My P61, friends, when I got that, the coil didn't work. I brought it back to life. So if you buy these saws, check for spark, because you can't get coils for these anymore. Again, I then went to this junk saw. This has the same new style coil and same cylinder. This is a bridgeless cylinder from a P42. This saw is parts of a P41, like this case half and the handle, and parts of a P42. I didn't know that it had the same cylinder. I didn't look, friends, so my bad. So the option is I can port this cylinder. I don't really want to. I got a lot of time into this project, and I kind of want to see how the cylinder runs. But like a lot of you guys said, I have P41, so I could just rip this off, save it for a rainy day. Now, friends, to add more to this issue, this is an NOS cylinder I have, one of 2 NOS P41 cylinders I have. Notice, it has a bridge, but it also has the new style mount. So what is this cylinder? Is this a P41 cylinder? This cylinder would work on this saw, but it has a bridge. So I'm guessing at some point the P41 updated to a bridge cylinder. They never changed that. I have about 4 or 5 P41s here, and they all have a bridge. But look at that. It has the updated mount and no decomp. So this is probably the cylinder I should have done. But you can see they're different. This one and this one are different. And that one's different. This one is the same. So again, friends, if you're going to work on these, work on them. They're fun, but there's a lot of variation. The rest of the saw is the same. Cases, handles, carburetors, all interchange. I think the only thing that doesn't interchange on these is the ignition system. They are different. So what I'm saying is your ignition needs to match your top end. I think from what I can see, the flywheels are exactly the same. I'm just looking at them. I mean, the markings on them are different, but the flywheels are the same. I'll just pull this P41 here. I don't know where the keyway is. Where's the magnets on this? So the magnets are here. And if I put this here, so I'm guessing it's going to be the same. The starter paws are in the same location. And I'm guessing if I took this nut off, the keyway would be right here. Okay. So, and they are the same diameter. So they are, from what I can tell, and even comparing to this saw here, they all have the same flywheel. Okay. So that's interchangeable. The mufflers are interchangeable. The handles are interchangeable. Everything's interchangeable except for, and again, except for your ignition has to match your cylinder unless you want to cut it up. And I'm not against that, friends. Let's be honest. Most people throw stuff like this in the garbage at the dump. Us chainsaw nuts, we really like this stuff, and we'll spend hours making it right. And to me, if you got to cut this bracket off, make a plate, and put a different coil on it to get an old saw running again, and then you put the side cover on and nobody knows, go for it. I'm not that guy. Whatever you got to do to get your saw back running, I say have at her. Now, friends, if you guys remember this summer, I think it was this summer, I showed you guys my stash of NOS Pioneer parts. And I dug through today. First thing I found is, it appears, I'm not sure. So this is different. I'm just comparing. So this is not the same. I have a reed block, an NOS reed block for some kind of Pioneer here. This is probably an older saw. I think these reeds might be interchangeable, but anyways, it's just looking, digging through, and I bought this kit, this parts lot, and I paid a pretty penny for it. It wasn't free, but I bought all this stuff. First thing I saw was these, okay? And, well, these things are always broken, bent, twisted. I have a pile. Well, not a pile. I have enough brand new mounts to do probably 3 or 4 saws. So that was the first thing. This is stuff you just can't buy anymore. And these are brand new NOS. The other thing that this had was clutches. I have quite a few OEM brand new clutches. These things can be a little shaky on the clutches, but you guys can see. So I pulled this out, and these are the right anti-vibes for this saw. So I'm going to leave this out on the bench. Now, this is why I was prepared to pay big money for this parts kit. My buddy sold it to me. He had it for years. He bought out a dealer, a local dealer, a local Manitoba dealer, and he told me that it had this stuff. Now, I wanted it for this originally. This is I'm pretty sure, 99% sure, this is a P61 coil. Now, you guys saw I have that P61 on the shelf. When I got that, the coil didn't work. Now, I managed to save that coil. I cleaned it up and rewired it, and it makes spark, and it's fine, but this is unobtainium. You just can't find these anymore. This is brand new, okay? This has never even been mounted on a saw. Okay, so I picked that up. Now, I think, let me look at these. 98% sure, and I guess we'll find out right now. P41s are known for bad coils. I'm pretty sure, 99.9% sure, that this, right here, that this is a P41 coil, and indeed, it appears it is. Okay, I'm just going to pause it here. I have a P41 that's ripped apart. I'm going to see if there's a coil in there and see if it's the same. And indeed, it is the same. Okay, unobtainium. To my knowledge, either this coil or the igniter is no good on that P41. It's actually this P41, okay, the one I took the top end off. And that's what left me dead in the water. I bought that saw for the channel 4 years ago. Yeah, probably 4 years ago I bought that saw. And I bought the pistons, okay, these LRB pistons, and I was going to rebuild the saw on the channel. And what happened was the saw had no spark. So I went, oh, I'll find a coil for it. No. Not happening. Okay, so now I'm going to say something, friends. These old saws, often you can't machine them because your coil mounts to your cylinder. And this one here, if you drop this cylinder much more than it is, this comes back to the machine work versus no machine work. You can't really machine these saws because if you drop the cylinder down too far, you can't adjust the coil gap. Okay? I mean, you can try and modify these holes a little bit, but again, by dropping these cylinders, you create more issues than you solve. A lot of these vintage saws too, the piston skirts are really short, and you end up, especially home lights and that, you free port like crazy. You drop the cylinder that much, and it will free port like nobody's business, to the point it won't run. Okay, so here you guys go. 2 brand new NOS P41 ignition coils. This one's cool. I'm not going to use this one. This one's brand new in the box. Like, look at that. Okay. Brand new. Never been used. This saw is nice enough that I will put it on this saw. And I have two other pretty much pristine P41s. I'm pretty sure they both have spark, but again. And then, friends, looking at this, 431307. I have the Pioneer Parts books. Who sent that to me? Jamie Deluge, I believe. I can look up these part numbers. And what this is, if you look at the P41, this is actually a bracket that this clips into, okay? And this goes this way, okay? And clips into this bracket. You guys can see it right there. Okay, these go bad also. This sits right down in here, like so. Okay, and then this goes to the coil. Okay, again, brand new in the box. Now, I'm probably gonna scab this one off of here. I don't know if it's any good, but the only way to find out is to put it on the saw. Again, I have 3 coils and 3. So that dealer was obviously having issues with P41 coils back in the day because, well, that's there seems to be a lot of these in this package. So that's why I bought this NOS parts lot, is because I wanted these coils. And this coil in particular, last time I saw one of these on eBay, it was like $200, which is pretty spendy. So there you guys go. I think I'm going to go with this cylinder. It's ported up real nice. It's clean. It's got a nice boost port in it. And if I like this port job, well, I can always... Remember, I wanted to use an old cylinder before I used an NOS cylinder. I can always port this cylinder and put it on there. Or this cylinder and make this thing complete original matching. But I'm not super interested in that. If it's a running example and it's a strong ported vintage saw, that's good enough for me. It doesn't have to be all matching. I'm not that guy. Some people are though, and that's okay. To each their own, right? Okay, so I think we got this sorted out. The only thing left for this project before we slap her together, and I mean, honestly, these things are so easy to work on. I can put this saw together in probably an hour. I got to run fuel lines in and out. The only thing I'm worried about with these, friends, these tend to leak in between the 2 case halves. Hopefully we don't have to deal with that, but that's a problem that these have. The oil tank and fuel tank is divided by a very intricate, elaborate gasket. But the only other thing that's left, friends, these reeds are like brand new. When you blow through them, they hum nicely. And really the only thing left, I need to find a carburetor. I know the carb I'm after. I have 5 or 6 of them. And I'm going to put a different carb on this saw. I may start with a small HS series Tillotson and then try a big HS series Tillotson, but we'll see. Anyhow, I hope this helps you guys out with your Pioneer projects. Okay, guys, I hope that helps you out. I really like porting reed saws. They're my favorite. I don't know, my vintage builds are my best builds. Like the old stuff, I tend to do my best work on them. I don't know why, but I think it's just because that's how I am. I like old things. I like old motorcycles, old trucks. I'm just an old school kind of fella. I always have been. But anyhow, friends, I hope that helps you out. Post a comment below if you have any questions. And buy these things up and build them. They're fun. And they run. Let me tell you, do they run. Later.